So
Mm,
it was, okay, by the age 25, I need to be married,
mm.
which we see how well that went. She's
Cannot
26.
relate.
She's 26 and can't even get a hello back from a man.
Welcome to the Allegedly podcast with your host, Katie and Dakota.
Hello.
Hey, yo.
Hey, Jack. How's it going?
I feel so great. Rise and grind. How are
Okay.
you?
You know what? I'm good. It's been an exhausting few weeks. So, we needed
Mm.
to take a little break, but I'm happy to be here, happy to be back, happy to be chit-chatting away.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I was almost going to say I almost forgot how to do that intro, but it just rolls off the damn tongue, baby.
She's
I
a
cannot forget.
natural.
Yeah, I think both of us have been super busy, and I think like we do this for fun, so if we're busy and
Mhm.
things are kind of taking a higher priority, then like we have the right and ability to step back and take a little break, and then when we want to pop back in, we bless y'all.
We deserve the right to do whatever we want. We owe you no explanation. No,
But I
I
think
mean,
that's the
but
whole reason we do it, is for fun and balance.
yeah. Well, and I think that, like, I mean, we don't need to go into a full convo about this, but in the first couple of months, I mean, we're 6 months in now, so we have tenure in this space.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. No, but I think in the first couple of months, we were very, very concerned about, oh my gosh, we need to be consistent. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
posting every single week. And if we aren't posting, we need to say something. And this time we just like didn't really say anything. So people maybe just like, is the podcast done? Are they broken up? Like, no. And we weren't even taking a personal break from each other. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
just like we both had a whole lot going on and needed to make sure that we were in a good space to where we're creating good content where it's fun for us,
Mm-hmm. It's not a
and
chore.
yeah, exactly. And not that it wasn't fun before. I just think like there's been so much going on to where the stuff we would have been putting out the last like 3 weeks wouldn't have been up to our par and standards.
Ooh,
She's
take a
got high
bow,
standards.
bitch. I like how you said that. That's all really good. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
thank you.
totally
You're
agree.
welcome.
I love that. She speaks for
uh,
both of us when she says the following.
yeah, I just had to put a line out a time or two. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We always do like a quick update kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We always, when we take a break, we are like, oh my gosh, it's been a while. What's new? That's not what this episode is about. But since we have been gone, do
Mm-hmm.
you want to give like a quick run through on what you've been doing the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think for me it has been kind of full send van building, and I like the momentum I've had, like I think at first there was like a little bit of stress during some of the waiting periods when I moved home that I wasn't getting enough done. And it still feels like some days, even though I'm out there for quite a while, like I don't see a lot happening. But
Mm-hmm.
I recently put up the walls and it's painted, and it just went from like feeling under construction to like, oh, this is like
It's
kind
coming
of a
together.
home. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think every time like I make those big moves that I realize that there is no way that I could have done this without coming home and having the like yard space and the actual room space in the house to build like cabinets and things like that. But I really
Right.
think that like I'm a month out. Like I really hope
I
I'm a month
love
out.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you've sent me pictures, I mean, I've told you, even though it feels like it's been a while, like it's coming together pretty quick, quite honestly, which is great. I know for you, it
It's
doesn't
hard
feel
to
that
say.
way.
Like I have no
Yeah,
concept of how long this should take.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but I mean, this is like what all my energy's been going in. So
yeah,
it's like, I don't know. I like to see growth,
totally.
movement,
Yeah, I
momentum.
love
And
that. I
I'm
can't.
getting that. I'm getting fulfilled by that now, but yeah, it's just like there's been so much anticipation that I'm ready. And some people have asked me like, are you still interested in like going out and doing this glorified camping. And yes, like I'm so ready to do that.
To be honest, yes.
I'm
Your answer is
ready
yes.
to go to the bathroom in that porta potty. I am ready to not know how to shower. But yeah, it's good. I actually just saw a post yesterday that this girl posted like a list of all the bad things of van life. And I've like known them or like kind of assumed them. And it was just kind of like a moment where I realized like, you know, at the beginning it may feel hard or weird or like I'm not sure how the hygiene or smells and all that stuff will go. But like for me, I feel like I'll find a routine at some point and just continue to send it and enjoy the experience. So yeah.
I mean, the grocery store has $1.50 air fresheners, so I think you good.
Yeah. You know, I'm not below a baby wipe shower.
Honestly, aren't we all? Elliot is going crazy. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
He is just playing with those blinds like a madman. He loves his new space.
So how is the new space? How has things been with you?
Things are great. We'll go more into kind of like what this episode is about, which kind of ties into like a lot of the mental space I've been in the last few weeks and a lot of clarity I've had. But I think in general, I've moved into the space fully. I have 4 boxes left, and those 4 boxes are all I've had left for the last 2.5 weeks. So they've just remained untouched. And it's funny because all 4 of the boxes are actually clothes that I had at my parents' house. So it's stuff that I actively typically wear. But I think what's nice is I've kind of been challenging myself to wear a lot of stuff that I did have in storage and haven't in a long time, which is good to kind of clean house and see like what I actually want to keep and not. But no, in general, it's been really good. It's weird to be back by myself, but I like it. The vibes are good.
The vibes look really good.
Yeah, the only vibe that is not good is that I got my first APS like electric bill, and she was over $400. Okay, but here's the thing.
What does APS stand for? Is that just the brand?
It's like solar power. I don't know what it stands for.
Oh, I forgot she's a renewable energy girl. Let it be known. Let the record show.
Let the record show. So, no, but I was shocked because it was literally based off me living there for like 16 days. And I was like, how is this $400?
If you haven't checked out or peeped some of Katie's pics, you need to check that out because she's a styling icon.
Love that. It's really just Pinterest and then finding interior designers, going to their like to know it and buying all their products. So it's really not even me.
But I mean, that's kind of what everyone's doing these days, trying to style
or
stuff.
Just kind of like picking and taking from different ideas I've seen on Pinterest. It cracks me up though, because anytime I do post like the decorating I'm doing, people are in my DMs like, oh my God, please come decorate my house. And I'm like, honey, I am willing to look up Pinterest boards for you. Because there's really not that much that's going into it from my actual side of things. I can't take full credit, but no, I'm having a lot of fun.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm just sick of spending money, you know, because I'm now that I'm back to like actually having responsibility and paying bills, I'm like, ooh, she needs to be frugal. But then the struggle of like, okay, I also want my house to look nice. I don't know. Because
I get it. I feel like it puts you in a headspace of like, this is an appropriate buying season. And so you kind of just go to get everything that you think you need or want. And then, you know,
well, it's like,
those bills
I just want to like kind of knock everything out. You know what I mean? So that it's like, okay, it's done. I've done all the things up front and then I can just kind of like live in it and cruise.
Yeah, I agree. Have like a normal spending budget each month rather than constantly upgrading.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we're constantly leveling up, but okay, so I think that we can kind of trickle into what we want to talk about this week. And a lot of it is around just kind of, I would say for someone who's in their mid to
upper
upper end of
but hit
their
28.
20s. Yeah. Ooh, she's
Yeah.
getting up there.
Yeah.
You're no longer mid-20s. You are
I
in your
know.
late 20s.
I was talking about that the other day. 28 is kind of like over the halfway between 25.
28's the hill. No, but I think just like kind of talking through expectations that we maybe feel that people of our age have, or thoughts from maybe when we were growing up on where we would be and how we kind of change that stigma, like just us, but then also in general, I feel like with maybe our generation.
Oof, that's deep.
So I think for me, the biggest thing, and Dak, I've kind of talked to you a little bit about this, but not a whole lot, is like growing up, I always put timelines on my life. So it was, okay, by the age 25, I need to be married. Which we see how well that went. She's
Cannot
26.
relate.
She's 26 and can't even get a hello back.
Can't even get a reply.
Yeah. So it was, 25, you need to be married. By 27, you're having your first child. Once I get married, I'm going to buy a house, like all these things. And then I think once I hit 26 and realized, okay, that's not exactly my timeline, my mindset actually kind of changed. And I mean, starting this year, my plan was not to buy a house, right? Like it was just like, hey, I'm going to move in with, my lease was up in Glendale. I didn't know where I wanted to live. I didn't know if I was going to maybe move states, you know what I mean? For a new career. Like, so it was just like, I'm going to move in with my parents so that I have the ability to move and I don't have to break a lease. So I think that maybe not a lot of people know that and think that I intentionally moved in to be able to buy a house. Like that was not my intent, actually. So for, I guess, it to come together like that in 6 months is pretty crazy. But
yeah,
I think that especially while I was living with my parents, did a lot of soul searching, you could say, and kind of realized like what I always had this thing in my mind where it was like, I need a man to buy a house. And it's not that I need them financially. It was just, I had this picture in my head of like, okay, me and my boyfriend or husband or fiance or whatever status we're at that point in time, are going to buy a house together. It's going to be our first house together and we're going to live this merry life, whatever.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. I understand that thought process.
And so I think that that's what, like, in years past has slowed me, because I could have bought a house, not to flex, but like I could have bought a house within the last 4 years. But I think that I was always just like, no, like I don't have anyone and I want to do that with them because, what if they have a house? And then like, so maybe I'll just move into their house, and eventually, like, my mindset was all wrapped around some imaginary figure, right? I guess you could say.
And it makes, like I said before, it makes so much sense to have that thought process.
Yeah. So I just think that in the last couple of months, and I mean, 26 is not old by any means. But I think that once I tipped over 25 and was like, shoot, I'm closer to 30, I need to like figure something out and stop living for some person who's not coming around.
Or for some undated event.
Exactly. Exactly. I think that's where I was kind of like, you know what, I need to just start living for me and what I'm doing and make myself happy. And I just think it's kind of like an interesting thought because, I mean, like you said, it makes sense. And I think that a lot of people kind of feel that way. So I don't know. I just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, I think that it's a very normal thing for a lot of people to go through. I think, like for me personally, the only reason that I haven't wanted I guess, buy a house is just because I've never felt like planted. I always knew that
Yeah.
through the work that we did, we had the ability to move if we really wanted to. And
Mm-hmm.
especially when both of us were living in Texas, like that was what was discussed more than anything. It's just like, oh, where am I gonna
We're
go
getting out of
next?
here.
Where am I gonna go next from this shithole, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. We were like, peace out, bitch.
Yeah, and like the company has done so great for us, but
Oh,
like I think
yeah.
anywhere you go, you kind of what's the next and best thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I went to Denver, I really like, I still think to this day, I would say if I had to plant myself somewhere, it
It
would
would be
be in
Denver.
Denver. But I still always kind of felt like, and maybe that's why I'm setting myself up for this journey, but like I almost felt like I still needed to see more and do a little bit more before I said, okay, you know what, like
Right.
I'm gonna tie myself down with this financial burden and like put myself
Yeah.
here. But on the other side of that, I've always heard just through random eavesdropping that like, hey, this person was making X and they're still renting, to where it's just like, wait, am I making a smart financial decision by like making this much money and being
Yeah.
able to put that into something that I own rather than renting and just kind of handing my cash to someone else? So it just kind
Yep.
of put me in this weird spot where it's just like, I feel like I always make smart financial decisions, but am I not making a smart financial decision by
Yeah.
renting, especially in somewhere as expensive as Denver, and then not feeling like I'm ever able to like settle
Getting
to a
anything out
specific
of it.
location? Yeah. So it's just
Yep.
like, okay, like what am I doing? And I think it's kind of just an interesting perspective, I guess. I've never been put in, or I've never been kind of overwhelmed with the idea of certain life events happening at a certain time. And I think that's just because I've always
Mm.
been a slow mover.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And I think that I'm a slow mover and I'm like pretty solo. And I think that's changed a lot more over the last like year or two. Yeah, I don't know. It is really interesting.
Yeah. I think on the flip side, like me, I am I am a very independent person in the fact that I can be alone. I'm cool with being alone.
Mm-hmm.
But do I want to be alone? Absolutely not. Like I am such a lover and I care about people and I like thrive off of making people happy. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So that's where I feel like all this time I've felt very, I guess, unsettled or more concerned with like beyond house stuff, just like in relationships, like, oh my gosh, I don't have a boyfriend. I'm not even like going on dates. Like I get
So
bored on Bumble, like all these things. And it started to stress me out
I think it
to
does a lot of
where,
people.
yeah. And, but to where like, I feel like there was a while where it was like, I was just going on Bumble, having these conversations that like didn't fulfill me and would be like, hey, what's up? Not much you. And then like maybe I come on 2 weeks later and reply to them, but it's like nothing of substance. And then all of a sudden it was like, so let me like see your boobs. And it's like, that's not like what I want at this point.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't there's no enjoyment, there's no fulfillment, there's no nothing. So I think how like what made you change, or what made you kind of get over that hill? Because I think that that's something that a
yeah.
lot of people think about, but it's just like, where did you kind of have a moment where you found more strength?
Yeah. So I think, well, one, if you are a frequent listener of the podcast, and I mean, Dak, you are very well versed in this about me, but in the last year, about 10 months, I would say, I've become a lot more of a spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it sounds silly to say, and I don't want to say that I rely and live my life based off of my tarot readings monthly, or like,
Mm-hmm.
like what my psychic is telling me. Like, do I love Katie Maple 110%, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I resonate with a lot of the stuff she tells me. I think that starting to get into that stuff, one, it helped give me insight on different situations in my life that I may have been holding on to longer than I should have been. And two, I think that it's taken like in I've had 9 months worth of readings from Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And almost every single month, a lot of the theme has been about self-love.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that at the beginning of the year, and just going back even on my fitness page, and I'm sorry, this is a tangent.
No, it's good though.
I think that going back on my fitness page, and because I am very like honest and detailed on that page about
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like what's going on, what I'm feeling, whatever. You can go back and you'll see posts from like 2019 where I would say stuff about like, I'm the happiest I've been, like blah, blah, blah. And looking back, it was a lie,
Mm-hmm.
but I just didn't know what true happiness was, in the fact that I wasn't actually loving myself.
Right.
And so I think at the beginning of my readings, at the start of the year with Katie, and even before then when I had talked to other psychics, when they would bring up like, sweetie, you need to love yourself, I was like, what the hell? I do.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually understand what it meant. And so I think taking the last 9 months of time,
Mm-hmm.
and especially probably I would say since March, 6 months ago, when I moved in with my parents, that's when I really started to take the time to do the work.
Right.
I wasn't in a space before moving in with my parents where I think that I could love myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, I don't know if I want to say sad or embarrassed. Like, I don't know the exact emotion because I'm not embarrassed by it, but I was in a position mentally where I needed to go live with my parents, and I needed like my mom to do my laundry and
Mm-hmm.
like make my dinner. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't capable of being a functioning adult by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I think having a lot of those responsibilities taken off of me gave me the time to like really think about myself and what
Mm-hmm.
I want in life, and putting more value into me.
Well, I had never, everyone, especially in like, California vibes, everyone's like meditating these days. Everyone is like, that's stuff that you hear people of influence, I guess, talking about. But like, you being a personal friend of mine, like you frequently talk about it, so much so that it seems like you're doing it every day, like you,
Right.
and you have structure with it, and you have like, you're writing it down, you're like meditating, you're manifesting, you're doing all these things that are really reflective. And I think too, when you talk about like you becoming more spiritual, it's almost like, just trusting in the journey in a sense.
Yeah, and whatever happens.
Rather than trying to be so in control of every step, or like, rush things or really seek it out. Like, it's more so trusting that things are going to come your way. And especially if you're like putting yourself in a mental state where you're able to accept those things, and you allow those things to happen because you want them to happen, and you believe that they're going to happen. And I feel all that stuff works, and I think that you really do it in a way that's structured and organized that is really impressive. And we've talked a little bit about it before, but like, it's just a reminder that you're reaping the benefits of it now.
Yeah. Well,
as you're sitting in your big ass house.
2,108 square feet, baby. 4-bedroom home. No.
But I mean, it's true though, like that's kind of the thing. And I think, like, to circle back to the question, like, how do you get over the hump and like become someone that's not necessarily stuck on a timeline or certain life achievements? It's really what we just said, like putting in that mental work. So you're allowed to accept those good things and not rush it, or not lower your standards, or any of the negative things that sometimes come with just not really truly being ready.
Totally.
So,
well, and I think that there is, I mean, you made a great point in saying basically releasing control, kind of. And in the fact that I was such a controlling person. And I think I still am in some aspects. Like, it doesn't just change overnight, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think getting to a space where you're saying, okay, I'm just allowing whatever is going to happen because that's what's meant to go down, is great.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps release a lot of stress in your life to where you're more comfortable letting whatever is supposed to come to you come to
Mm-hmm.
you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a
Thank
lot.
you. And
Mm.
then I think that the other thing that it sparked my thought was journaling.
Mm.
So I think that there's this weird stigma, or at least I used to have this weird thought around journaling. I'm like, oh my God, people
It's
who
very like
journal.
Margaret.
Yeah, like
What's
I was like,
that?
okay, Junie B.
Dear
Jones, like,
journal.
dear diary. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I always thought something weird about journaling.
It was almost
And
like it sometimes is labeled immature in a sense.
yeah, I was gonna say like a childish vibe of like, oh
Mm-hmm.
my God, like Mark from sixth period hugged me today and like he loves me. Like, I always had that kind of thought around
Yeah.
journaling. And once I started doing it, and I honestly, like, I haven't sat down and journaled in probably like a month and a half, just because I've been like off the rails busy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I am journaling and I do need to get back to it, it's like I have so much more clarity in my life, and it helps you kind of understand the things that you want, and stuff may come out while you're journaling that it's subconscious, so you maybe
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily realize it. So yeah, I mean, if you don't journal, just want to like break that little
Give that a little shout
thought.
out. Well, I think the
Yeah.
thing journaling, I think, was a much more major thing before we had electronics and cell phones,
Yep.
and we were sharing our lives as much as we do. But I think we're numb
Mm-hmm.
to it, or there's a different type of flex happening with that. And
Yeah.
but I think kind of circling back to it and doing that physical action of writing something down does something to you mentally more so than like sharing it with an audience,
Yeah.
because you kind of know a lot of people aren't going to read your journal, but it
Totally.
is more of a personal
Yeah.
establishment of your thoughts rather than what you're sharing. So,
Yeah. Well, it's like, and I try to be pretty authentic on my social media,
mm-hmm.
right? But
Agreed.
there are some things that it's like I'm not going to go into on my social media that
Mm-hmm.
maybe I need to break down while I'm journaling. Or it's like maybe I'm going to go into it on social media, but I'm not going to go the full extent,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm aware of my audience. And though I try not to let other people's thoughts and perceptions of me get to me, I know that I am a person who shares a lot, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm posting on my fitness account, even when my body, like today, I posted about like feeling tired and bloated, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I know, and I shared it to my personal account because I'm like, I really don't care. Like, this is me.
Right.
And if you like me, that's fantastic. If you don't like me, don't follow me. Like, and I know it sounds passive aggressive to say that, but I think this is also kind of a thought that I've recently had, is like, why, like, we are grown adults at this point. So
mm-hmm.
why, because there's people I'm sure that I follow, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but like when they post, I get triggered and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, that bitch, you know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
recently it like came to my mind, I'm like, why am I even doing that? Like, I'm an adult now. Like,
Yeah.
why am I operating in this like toxic, like sorority girl high school vibe sometimes, where it's just like, oh, you're like following someone just to like shit on them? Like, that's kind of lame.
Well, I
So
think we've been, well, maybe it's a little bit of that where you wanted to shit on them, but I think too, it's like we've been put in a position for so long through like high school and then college where you really can't physically detach yourself from some of these people to where you just like, you acknowledge some of the like things that you need to do to be cordial around each other. But in our adult life, the only people that exist like that are our coworkers, you know?
Yeah.
And you can either choose to not be friends with them or you can start a podcast with them. And that's what
and that's that on that. Yeah, no, I just think that it was very recently when this thought came into my mind and I was just like, why? And like I said, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm perfect and I don't ever shit talk people, because I for sure do. I'm guilty of it. You know what I mean? But then when I kind of come back and think about that stuff, I'm like, why do I ever do that? Like, what joy am I getting out of like talking crap about people? You know what I mean? Like, and I think what sparked it actually is on my personal Instagram and my fitness Instagram, I have the creator features so I can see how people interact with my posts. And I posted, I can't remember, I think it was just like a selfie and I was feeling myself. So I'm like, I'm going to post this, like whatever. And then it's like, you look at your analytics or whatever, and people have like DM'd it off. And I'm like, okay, like I know that those people weren't DMing that to be like, oh my God, look how beautiful she looks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it is always weird when you see that.
So it's just like, that's kind of where that thought sparked. And I'm just like, you know what? And it's not just about me and saying, oh my God, don't do this to me. Like I am in a space now where I can handle it, because I know I post a lot of like off the walls stuff, but I just want to challenge everyone to kind of think about that and be like, am I following anyone for poor intent reasons? Because if I am, what good is that doing to my life?
Totally agree. Well, I think it's don't shame someone for being confident in the way that they're moving. You know, if you don't want to move like that, then don't subscribe to it. But
yeah,
obviously, like there's no reason to try to bring someone's confidence down especially when it's tasteful, you know, and it's not bringing anyone else down or doing anything negative to anyone, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
The only thing that I want to say that's weird about the analytics is whenever I see someone bookmark some of mine.
Oh my
I'm like,
God.
who the hell is bookmarking?
Yeah, I know.
What files am I in?
Yeah, I mean, there's photos where I'm definitely like, okay, I understand why that was saved. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
enjoy that one later.
It's kind of just like dirty. But yeah, I mean, that's
another conversation.
That's a whole other thing.
But I was thinking about it because it's alarming.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that was kind of off subject of the main point of just saying, like, you know, focus on yourself and challenge like your own thoughts and why you're maybe not doing something that you could be doing, you know?
Totally agree. And it just kind of circles back to the reason that we took our little breaky break, you know, like we're focusing on ourselves and we're getting through some of like really important times or really big like life shifts for both of us. So yeah.
I mean, I think this was a good chat. I had just like a lot I needed to release. So I'm sorry. I just like went on tangent.
No, but it was all really interesting, you know? Yeah. I thought it was interesting.
Well, thank you. I thought it was interesting too, but I was also talking. So thank you everyone for listening. We're very excited to be back. I guess by the time we post this, I think will have been a month since we've posted, which is the longest we have gone without posting. So go ahead and follow us on Instagram at allegedly Katie Dakota. On our YouTube, it's just the name of our podcast, Allegedly with Katie and Dakota. Dakota on all platforms is at Dakota Etheridge. My Instagram is at kt.hen. YouTube is Katie Henry, and Twitter is KatieHenry_.
Get it.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.